They thought she was just a quiet farm girl. They thought she had no one to stand up for her. They thought wrong. When the cruel laughter of bullies echoed through the fields, and a frightened young woman was tied to a tree under the cold sky, only one phone call stood between despair and destiny. What those bullies never imagined was that her husband wasn't just a man. He was Delta Force. And when he came for her, the world around them would never be the same. Maya was never one to raise her voice. Born and raised on a quiet farm at the edge of a small town, she learned early that silence often kept the peace. Her parents, hard-working and gentle people, believed in humility and faith, and Maya carried those lessons into adulthood. After they passed away, the farm became her sanctuary, green fields, golden wheat, and the creak of old barn doors filling her days with simple rhythm. To most of the world, she was just the quiet farm girl who sold eggs and milk at the farmer's market, smiling politely and slipping back into the background as if she belonged to the wind. But small towns can be cruel. The sons and daughters of the more privileged families had always targeted Maya for her soft demeanor. Mute mouse, they'd call her, mocking her silence. She ignored them, though the sting buried deep inside. That sting grew sharper one summer evening when 3 of the bullies, drunk on arrogance and fueled by spite, decided to take their cruelty further than ever before. It began with taunts at the edge of her farm. Maya tried to walk away, clutching her basket of fresh eggs, but they followed. Words became shoves, shoves became jeers, and before she realized it, she was dragged into the woods. Her cries went unheard, swallowed by the trees. They tied her wrists with rough rope against an old oak, their laughter mixing with the buzzing of summer cicadas. Fear gripped her chest, but Maya's silence was not weakness, it was restraint. She had one card left to play. Her phone, hidden deep in her pocket, buzzed faintly with life. With trembling fingers, she managed to press a single button, a number she knew by heart. It was all she needed. No words, no explanations. Just a call. The man on the other end didn't need her voice to understand. He always knew. Miles away, in a classified training ground, Captain Daniel Cross of the U.S. Army's Delta Force looked down at the vibrating phone. One glance at the screen and his blood ran cold. It wasn't a call, it was a signal. A single, desperate flare shot through silence. His wife needed him. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt a fury rise that no battlefield had ever ignited. The bullies lingered by the tree, their laughter fading into uneasy chatter. One of them, a tall boy with restless eyes, glanced back at Maya. Something about her quiet defiance unsettled him. She wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She was waiting. And deep down, he felt a chill he couldn't explain. An hour passed. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in bruised purples and fading gold. That's when it began, the distant thunder of boots on the ground, controlled and deliberate, like a predator closing in. The woods seemed to tighten around them, every bird gone silent as if nature itself knew something unstoppable had entered. Then he appeared. Dressed in civilian clothes, but carrying the aura of war itself, Daniel Cross stepped into the clearing. His eyes, sharp as steel, locked onto Maya bound to the oak. For a moment, no words were spoken. The bullies froze, unsure whether to laugh or run. One of them muttered, "Who's this guy?" Daniel didn't answer with words. He moved with lethal precision, closing the distance in seconds. The first bully lunged, but Daniel sidestepped, a single strike dropping him to his knees, gasping for air. The second reached for a broken branch, but Daniel disarmed him effortlessly, the branch snapping in half like a twig. The third, the tallest, raised his fists, but when he looked into Daniel's eyes, he saw something primal, something that whispered of deserts, jungles, and shadows where men like him never survived. The boy's fists trembled. He dropped them, stumbling backward. Daniel untied Maya with hands both gentle and trembling, pulling her into his arms. For the first time since the ordeal began, her silence broke, not in words, but in tears against his chest. He kissed her hair and whispered, "I'm here. Always." The bullies, humiliated and shaken, tried to crawl away. But Daniel's voice cut through the woods like a blade. "Listen to me. You thought she was weak because she's quiet. But her silence is stronger than your noise will ever be. You tied her to a tree. You'll remember this moment every time you see one for the rest of your lives. If you ever come near her again, if you ever try this with anyone again, I won't show you mercy. His words weren't shouted, but they carried the weight of a man who had seen battles and walked out alive when others hadn't. The boys believed him. When Daniel and Maya walked back toward the farm, hand in hand, the night sky blossomed with stars above them. Maya looked up, her voice finally breaking the silence. I didn't need to say anything on that call. I knew you'd come. Daniel squeezed her hand. You'll never face anything alone. Not while I breathe. And in that moment, the story of the quiet farm girl changed forever. She was no longer the one the bullies called Mute Mouse. She was the woman whose silence summoned the storm. Sometimes the world mistakes silence for weakness. But silence can hold strength, faith, and resilience beyond measure.